FM, the Health and Wealth Radio Network. Get it straight from the expert's mouth on Ask the Experts with host Steve O. Every Thursday at 5 p.m. Talk 1470 is WWNN Pompano Beach and 95.3 FM W237BD Boca Raton, the Health and Wealth Radio Network.
Homeowners, would you like to save money each and every month? Of course you would. We all want to save money, but how? By calling Debbie at I Will Advisors, that's how, and have her review your homeowner's policy. Most homeowners never review their policy, but it should be reviewed every year. You commercial property owners, same goes for you. So what are you waiting for? Call Debbie at I Will Advisors and start saving money. 954-753-8080. 954-753-8080.
It takes a whole lot more effort to get something started in your life than it does to keep it moving.
Del Walmsley has moved thousands of radio listeners closer to a great life. The Del Walmsley Show is now on in South Florida on Talk 1470, Monday at 5, Tuesday through Friday at noon. Listen and move towards your great life today.
Selfless service is the guiding principle that drives Army National Guard soldiers to be always ready whenever disaster strikes. They are your next-door neighbors and your colleagues in schools, offices, and factories. To be a Guard soldier is to stand ready to serve at all times for family, for community, and for country. To learn more, log on to NationalGuard.com or contact an Army National Guard recruiter in your area. Sponsored by the Florida Army National Guard, aired by the Florida Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Go to your app store and download the WNN app on your Android or iPhone and never miss a Talk 1470 minute.
Live a more conscious life by joining other like-minded individuals and businesses, as together we create a more conscious community connection with Conscious Co-op South Florida. The Conscious Co-op meets monthly at the Boca Raton Wyndham Hotel with a catered gourmet vegan lunch by Farmer's Table. These meetings feature guided meditations and a wellness-minded speaker always dedicated to educating on a more conscious way of living. For more information, visit noahcrane.com. That's NOAHCRANE.com or call 561-774-1991.
Hello everyone, my name is Noah Crane. Welcome to Create Your Greenest Grass. Connect with me each week to create a life you love. Now let's get started. What I do. Hello and welcome to Create Your Greenest Grass, where we don't live our life to chance, but rather create a life we love. My name is Noah Crane and I'm super excited to be here with you today. To tell you a little bit about myself, I'm the author of the book, The Grass is Greenest Where I Am, which I actually have a date. It's coming out on September 13th. That's my husband's birthday, and I dedicated this book to him. My book speaks about no comparison, no competition, and no scarcity, learning to live in our own love and light, and sharing our unique gifts in the world. Because I know each one of us came here for a reason. We're all traveling through and bringing our gifts into the world, and we share those gifts with the world becomes a better place. I'm all very committed to people and to helping each other grow in this world. Part of my connection to people and my love for people helped me create this amazing group called Conscious Co-op. Conscious Co-op is a group that meets once a month at the Wyndham Hotel in Boca Raton, 1950 Glades Road. We come together for connection to fill our cup with more love and light, so we, the healers, can take that love and light and spread it even more into the world. And because I believe connection is the most important thing in life, I make this incredible event, and we always have an amazing time. There's always meditation with Sani Arfa and an inspirational speaker. This month's inspirational speaker is Shirley Solis. She's an amazing empowerment woman, coach, family catalyst. She's an unbelievable person. She runs workshops. She's an incredible speaker. I'm really excited to have her speak. It's going to be on the 29th of this month, August 29th. It's a Friday. It's from 11:30 to 2 p.m. And you can register on my website, noahcrane.com. That's NOAHCRANE.com. I hope you can come. It's only $30 for the lunch, and you will have an amazing time for sure. I want to welcome an amazing guest that I have today. I'm very excited to have Karen here on the show, Dr. Karen Walsh. She's a behavior She works with behavior and families, and she'll tell you more about what she does. So welcome to the show, Karen.
Hi, Noah. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Very happy to have you here. Please tell our audience a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Okay. Well, my name is Karen Walsh, or Dr. Karen Walsh, and I work at Inspirations for Youth and Families as an owner and as a therapist. I'm a marriage and family therapist. I'm an educator, and I'm a doctor of psychology. So that's what I do. I work in relationships and work with people all day.
Yes, and we're going to be talking about a very important topic today that's very dear to me, is family and children and how to guide children. I was going to start out by asking you, because we're talking about parenting and how that is such an important thing for you as well, because you're all about family and togetherness and really teaching our kids. Can you talk to me a little bit about what is conscious parenting?
Oh, conscious parenting. Other than a very, snazzy word and a very, current word, conscious parenting is really about an awareness of where you are right now as a parent, and also where your child is. So most people would say, well, I know where I am, but it's really about raising the awareness and looking deeper into what's happening in your home and in your relationship with your children.
That's great. How do you parent with authority, but yet keep the love alive in the family?
Okay, so we had talked a lot about this, parenting with love and authority. Part of conscious parenting is parenting with love and authority in a way that allows both the parent and the child to have a better relationship, an understanding, a foundation, boundaries, and goals that are attainable but with limits, and always encompassed in that love that you have for your child and that your child has for you as well.
How do we get our kids to open up with communication? I find it very hard with my own kids to get them to open up. And they don't really listen the way that we want them to listen. What's the key of connecting with our kids?
Well, every child is different and every parent is different. Connecting with your child really is about understanding who your child is, how your child knows love, receives love, how your child communicates. And although that might seem very basic, it's actually very complicated, especially if you have more than one child. So you may have a child that really is understanding they're loved and knowing they're loved by having a lot of affection. You may have another child that understands they're loved by having affirmations, words of praise. So if you're working with a child and that main focus, I would say, for love, if that's not there and you're doing something else, then that child will always feel a void and may act out and may act in ways that you don't understand, because they're trying to feel what they need to feel. They're trying to communicate in a way that they know they're being heard. And so you need to look at your children and really look deeply into what makes them function and how are they working. And once you hone in on that, then you have the secret sauce. And then you can pretty much get your children to do most of what you want. I think also having good boundaries, having an understanding between you and your child as to what's expected. And it's very difficult to do these days because we have a culture that is really giving our children quite a lot without them working for it. So that's a huge hurdle for parents, and that's one of the things that we try to get over right now is how do we set those goals and expectations and not give too much, but give what is expected from our society right now.
And how do you recommend to set those rules and boundaries? Should you be having regular family meetings? What's the way to really create that in a family? And I know consistency is also a very important part of it as well.
Absolutely. Well, you said it right there. It's having family meetings. From a very early age, do your best to always have a family meeting at some point in the day. So if it's at breakfast, if it's at dinner, whatever point in the day that it is, at least reserve a few minutes to reconnect, know where everyone's going, know what the plans are, and that sets the tone for how the family's going to function. Everything is age appropriate as well. So what you're expecting from a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old is very different than what you're expecting from a teenager. Having those boundaries set and how you define those boundaries is very important. With teenagers, I believe having things written down resolves a lot of issues so that you never have to worry about what you said or what your child agreed to. If you set everything down in written form, then you can always refer back to it. And then if anything goes awry and you have to have some consequences, a behavior contract works miracles, because then you set out your goal and you clearly define it. And then when that consequence has been resolved and is over, then you move on. And I think it's a nice way to get past the banter that can go on between parents. And anyone who has a teenager knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, definitely. What I notice, so here's something from my own life. With my daughter, I realize how just the words that I use with her they're very fragile kids. They're very sensitive. I mean, we're sensitive. Everybody's sensitive, right? And that's what I notice is that I can say something and I don't realize, like she'll be, for example, maybe not so nice to her brother. And later on, I'll talk to her and I'll be like, you're always taking down your brother. But when I say that to her, I'm actually now criticizing her.
Absolutely.
So it's like you have to watch every single word you're saying, and how do you and keep it positive so that you're not hurting her self-esteem. And that's what I notice, that I'm hurting her self-esteem, not even noticing that I'm hurting her self-esteem.
Well, that's very common, and as you know, as parents, we make mistakes. We don't get a set of instructions that tell us how to parent and what to say and when to say it and how to know how it's going to be received. So for that, I have to say, give yourself a break.
Yeah.
And the best that you can do is what you're doing. Reevaluate when you see something is happening. If you've said something and your child responds in a way that you realize he or she is hurt. The other thing I would say is that I think that asking children questions, and so as parents often we'll be very quick to respond and give them our opinion. But what is most effective is when we ask a child, what do you think about what just happened? What do you think could have been different? How could you have handled that differently? So now we're asking them and we're eliciting a response from them versus giving them our opinion that, like you said, might hurt them. And so then we work with them in a conversation and they don't realize that we're actually getting them to where we want them to be, which is really self-realization and a self-actualization.
I love that.
Yes.
I actually had somebody who I heard give a speech that his mom growing up always said to him, what has to happen next? So everything that would happen, she'd be like, what has to happen next? And that's kind of like what you're saying. And then he would have to come up with it, and it made him really take more responsibility because he would have to come up with different things. Instead of telling him, he was coming up with his own solutions to everything.
And sometimes that won't work, and that's what you want. You want a child to go through those times when maybe their solution doesn't work. So then they have to go back to the table again, the drawing table, so to speak, and they have to figure out, okay, well, this didn't work. What's going to work now? So again, just putting it in their court and asking them questions is not 100% of the solution, but most of the time that helps a child to find the solutions and the choices in life that he or she has to make.
Right. And I've also, another thing that I want to share with you is my daughter just changed schools. And it wasn't because we moved, so she couldn't go to the same school she was zoned for. She was very angry. And I had to let her work through her own feelings and emotions. I mean, there was nothing that I could say to make it okay. But it's amazing how kids are able to work through things if we give them space. I wasn't like in her face. I was giving her space to work through her anger, say what she had to say, and then all of a sudden, and I actually gave her another girl's number who goes to that school to talk to her, which I was lucky enough to have a friend that her daughter goes to that school. And she came to her own things. So it's great when kids can empower themselves. They can learn themselves how to come to a better place and get their emotions out of the way
How old is your daughter?
She's 12.
12. Okay, so then that was a very age-appropriate way to respond. Stepping in and giving her another person in the school to get in contact with or meet is very helpful. A lot of parents are afraid these days to get involved in children's school. They don't want to be overbearing. They don't want to be accused of being a helicopter parent, so to speak.
Right.
And I say, get involved. Get involved in your child's school. Know who the children are. Know the teachers. Reach out for help when you need it. If you need to call a guidance counselor or you need to speak with a teacher, then go ahead and do that. Because the ultimate goal is to get your child where your child needs to be the most successful child that your child can be, the most emotionally physically and intellectually grounded and able to grow, then I think you did the right thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
How do we build confident kids? What's the secret to building confident kids? Is there anything you can give us about that? I'm sure there is.
Oh, confident kids. Well, you just sprinkle a little confidence on their morning cereal. Confident children. Confidence today is a challenge because there's a lot more coming at children than previous years. You know, social media can really, cause some damage for self-esteem. Having their life exposed on a second by second, minute by minute basis can be very challenging. Confident children really have a good foundation when first they understand the world around them. They understand expectations of them. They understand what they have to do. And they feel respect. They are given respect. They return respect. And the same thing for love and all of the other ingredients that go into having a healthy relationship. That helps a child to become grounded. Complimenting a child, recognizing when a child does something good, letting them know that's the information they need, letting them know that what they did was not only expected, but it was appreciated. And that helps to give them the cues. You know, we give our children cues all the time that we don't realize. We give them our facial expressions. We give them our verbal recognition. We give them our physical cue that what they've done is good or not good. So understanding the messages we're giving our children has a big part of how we're going to have or grow a successful child, a confident child, a child who has a lot of self-esteem.
And that's the goal for all of us as parents. We want to raise really confident kids that can go into this world and fly. They have the energy beneath their wings to really take it into the world and create amazing things.
I agree with you. And I'd also have to say, though, another big part of it, it's a complex, approach when we're trying to have confident children or build confident children. But I will say, having children and allowing them to be who they are, not trying to change them to get them to be who we want them to be. So we may want a cheerleader, we may want a musician, but if our child's not a musician or a cheerleader, then we're trying to put, a square peg into a round hole, and it's never going to work. So appreciate our children, understand who they are, and get to know what it is about them and where they're going, what they want. And then that saves a lot of trouble, because I think a lot of arguments between parents are the difference between what a parent wants and what a child wants. And I don't mean want in a superficial way. I mean what they want to do as far as academics and sports and all of the components that go into building a child. Raising a child, I should say.
Yes, it's the hardest job in the world. I know you'll agree with me. There's no harder job than being a mom. It's been my most challenging job, and I'm still trying. It's still my most challenging job every day to be a mom, because there's just so many components that go into being a mom. And to have to put it all together and not just run your life, because now you're running other people's life as well, besides your husband. Now my husband's very independent, so he doesn't need me to run his life. But now you're running the family and the kids and everything that they need to do. And it could be overwhelming.
It really can be. And I think for parents, they need to cut themselves some slack. As I said earlier, our children don't come with instructions.
Right.
And we make mistakes, and we're going to continue to make mistakes through each phase of our children's life. We are going to say something we wish we didn't. We're going to do something we wish we didn't. We're not going to do things that we wish we did. So understanding that, like our children, we're on this journey of becoming a better parent, becoming a better person for the world. And if we can show that we know we make mistakes, and that we hope our children forgive us as we forgive our children, and then we grow together as parent and child.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
I have something that goes on in my family where the kids always compare between each other. Like, this is not fair, this is not fair. It's very hard because everybody's always looking at somebody else and comparing. What about the not fair that you could tell us?
We had a conversation about fairness, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to sound like my mother, but life isn't fair. Really, fairness is That is a word that is, shared between parents and children, and especially when they're siblings. What is fair is what is relevant at that moment. What is fair is what needs to happen, or a judgment call that you're making because you're the parent. As parents, we have a responsibility to our children. And our children don't realize that. And even though they might have, fleeting moments of realizing that something about what they just did brings some responsibility to their parent, it's quickly forgotten because they've moved on to the next thing they want to do or whatever's going on. But parents have a responsibility legally, emotionally. They need to ensure their child's safety physically, emotionally, and everywhere else that pertains to being a parent. And I think that when we look at fairness, we make a decision. We tell our child that we've made that decision, and it's not a negotiation.
Right.
It's not about fairness. It's about what your parent just decided for you as a child, and you have to live with that. And know that your child may not always like it and may say things to you that are very hurtful, but you have to know that you're doing what you need to do as a parent. So fairness aside, parent with love and authority in. That's what has to happen.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. But what happens when they say it's not fair comparing themselves to their brothers and sisters? Because you might have different expectations from different kids.
Yes. So would you say children are comparing themselves to their siblings, or
Yes.
parents are comparing their children to each other?
No, not parents comparing, but the kids comparing what is fair to the other child. Like one child is allowed something. I mean, because you have different ages, so it can't be. You can't parent everybody the same exact way.
I agree. So again, children are going to be children. Brothers and sisters are going to think that one has something more than the other, has something better, has more privileges, bedtime's later for the older one. Yeah. And that's just the way life is going to be. As a parent, unfortunately, we're going to be the referee.
Yeah.
So that's one of the hats we wear. We try to referee with love and authority and explain to our child that things are different for your brother or your sister, and that's the way it is. I'm not guaranteeing it's not going to be, a difficult situation. There's going to be some upset children sometimes, and there might even be some upset parents. But you get through it the best that you can, because ultimately your child will grow up knowing that there is a difference for everyone in different situations. So if we don't instill that when they're younger, what's going to happen when they're older? They're going to expect what other people have that is not necessarily what's appropriate for them, nor does it fit for them. So,
Yes.
Parents.
Right.
Parents are tough. It's tough.
It is. How do you have no regret parenting? Because I know even myself, sometimes, even though I say the grass is greenest where I am, I still sometimes I wish I knew that, or I wish I knew that. We beat ourselves up, right?
Oh, we do.
Yes.
Parents are their own worst enemies sometimes. No one can criticize us more than we criticize ourselves.
Right.
We're always trying to attain that ultimate parental place where we say, we got it, we did it. Nah. Regrets, there's always going to be regrets. You know the song, Regrets, I Had a Few.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have that. But again, if we ground ourselves in knowing what we're doing, why we're doing it, then we may want to have done something differently. We may wish we had said something differently. But if in our heart and in our soul we know that what we did was the best we could do at the time that we did it, if we said what we knew to say when we said it, then that should give us some resolve. But, we're always going to look back as human beings. We're fallible. We wish that we had done something different. We wish that we had gone somewhere that we never went. I just say to parents, give yourselves a break. Do the best you can with what you know at the time that you do it. And the decisions you make should be the best that you can make at that moment with the information you're given. Everything else, leave it up to that higher power, and know that you're doing the best you can as a parent.
How do you feel about having therapy for children, even if they're not going through anything specific at the time? Is it like a healthy thing for a child to have a therapist that they go to see or talk to, or for the parents to have somebody to talk to, like a mentor? How do you feel about that?
Well, that's a tough one. I don't necessarily have a feeling about it. I think that people need to do what is best for them. If a child does not need a therapist, if there is enough support around a child and love and communication, I would think there would be no need for a therapist. You know, when you bring another person into your life that is not related, not associated with you every day, you're going to get a different perspective.
Yes.
And that person may not have enough information to be able to respond to something correctly or appropriately, or really understand what it is that they are now engaging in when they're having a conversation with a child or with an adult. So you have to keep that in mind. A different person, a different perspective, someone who is not in your home may not look at things the same way that that you would look at them, or that they really are.
Right.
So therapists and therapy are a wonderful solution to many problems, but I think proceed with caution and know what you're getting into and why you're doing it.
Great. Why is it really important to stay true to who we are and accept ourselves? Because that's part of parenting, right? To what we're talking about, but why is it important to be okay with where we're at? What would you say to parents?
Well, that's a part of conscious parenting. We are role models for our children. So when we're grounded, our children see a grounded adult. And when we're comfortable with who we are and what we're doing and decisions we're making, even if they're not the best decision at the time, a child will sense that you're confident about what you've just done. And that's what we want to instill in our child, that pencils do have erasers. We do need to use those erasers. So let's use them and understand we're going to make mistakes, but go forward with confidence and be grounded and be centered and know that this is a journey, and it will be sometimes smooth and sometimes bumpy, but enjoy the ride, because there's always something beautiful in everything we do as parents. We just need to look for that beauty and be reminded that we have a beautiful opportunity when we have a child to raise.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Karen, for being here today. Is there anything else you want to say where people can find you, or anything else before we...
My email is drkarenwalsh@gmail.com. That would be drkarenwalsh@gmail.com. And I look forward to anyone who wants to get in touch with me. I can also be found at Inspirations for Youth and Families. It is a local residential program for adolescents and their families.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. And until next time, remember, the grass is greenest where I am. The mantra, the grass is greenest where I am. Take care of yourself and your life and your loved ones. Have a beautiful evening. Bye. Bye. Hi, this is Noah Crane. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Remember, the grass is greenest where you are. Tune in next week as we keep exploring and finding and recreating a life we love.
Live a more conscious life by joining other like-minded individuals and businesses, as together we create a more conscious community connection with Conscious Co-op South Florida. The Conscious Co-op meets monthly at the Boca Raton Wyndham Hotel with a catered gourmet vegan lunch by Farmer's Table. These meetings feature guided meditations and a wellness-minded speaker always dedicated to educating on a more conscious way of living. For more information, visit noahcrane.com. That's NOAHCRANE.com, or call 561-774-1991.
Want to make your smartphone brilliant?